Do it. Hello everyone, welcome back. I think we're pushing like 13 or 14 of these now, and one of these days I'm just going to get smart and just do these rather than try to do like 3 videos a week for like weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. You'll probably see a poll on my community page actually about that exact topic. So anyway, let's do it to it. So today we are sitting here at beautiful, this is basically on the eastern China, right on the coast, a very, very major shipping port here. One of the fun things about this is usually when I travel in China, I love to travel in the western parts of China. There are some gorgeous mountains out there. We're currently at Beijing. This is an international airport. It is quite the airport, by the way. This thing has expanded so fast you would not possibly believe. As usual, we're going to be doing ourselves our good old-fashioned group fly and take a look around. I can see I've collected a lot of folks already. This is super exciting. I did get that little livery pack. I apologize last time for not actually posting where you can get that link. If you go on Google search and literally type in FS2020 livery pack or livery pack, I've never actually heard that word spoken, so I've always had to guess what it actually means. But again, you can track that down. You can see I've got myself a little yellow bus over here and everything like that. The iCal code, by the way, today, in case anybody's looking for it particularly, is Zulu Bravo Tango Juliet. ZBTJ for anybody who's joining us today. So anyway, our flight today is going to take us over to Beijing. It's actually going to take us, we're going to take a nice little tour of the city, kind of do the irritating, what are you doing? We're going to be the irritating tourist kind of a thing and basically buzz at low altitude places that will probably get you shot down because it is one of the most protected airspaces on Earth. But anyway, enough chat. Let's do it. I'm going to go ahead and climb in this beautiful. This is a Beechcraft 350i. This is the nice version. I like the smaller B200 better. It's a little bit smaller. This kind of reminds me of Beech 1900 personally. It's kind of like a giant bus. All right, let's do it to it. First things first, we want to get everybody all started up. We have a G3X on this thing, which is a wonderful, wonderful system. It makes your life 100% simpler as far as doing a lot of the work here. We're going to go ahead and arm the ignition, which is going to be these 2 switches down on this side. I'm just going to go ahead and work my way down, kind of do this the old-fashioned way. There's my engine starter switches. We're going to go ahead and flip on our little lights. We're going to get all sorts of angry messages start. There's nothing unusual about that. I'm going to go ahead and flick on our beacon light to let everybody around us go, hey, we're going to go ahead and get started in just a minute. Just going to look around to make sure everything is clear for us. I see a guy over there. Again, I chop these guys up every single time I do this, so too bad. So then all we have to do is basically crank it, and now once we get to the proper power, we're just going to go ahead and throw on mixture to go ahead and start introducing fuel. Start the right engine first. I once got in an argument with an airline pilot one time about why the left engine should be started instead of the right engine, and it was just one of those futile waste of times, but it was one of those things that he was just so passionate about that, I don't know, it kind of impressed me just a little bit. All right, we got 15%. I'm just going to go ahead and crack this. You don't have to push this thing too far. In the real world, there's this little detent. Again, you can't feel it because it's virtual. It goes click, and you can actually feel it. We're on the East USA server, for those of you who are checking it out. Awesome. Again, I'll take my time getting started to let everybody get caught up. I'm looking around. It looks like we have a heck of a turnout already. Wonderful, folks, wonderful. Wait until you see how beautiful this city is. It's absolutely gorgeous. All right, this thing's cranking over. You can see that the prop's starting to come up. I'm going to go ahead and push it up into the low idle position. And that's going to be about right there. It looks pretty good. Just confirming that everything's spinning. ITT, torque looks pretty good too. Awesome. We're going to get an angry message because our starter's still running. I'm actually going to give it just a little bit more power here. Again, I want to make sure this thing comes up all the way and can start generating electricity on its own so we don't keep getting an angry message. It's telling us our battery amps are starting to get too far. Awesome. Okie doke. Let's go ahead and get our next engine started. Click that one over as well. It's going to be the exact same process. Basically, we're going to get up to about 15%, then we're going to crank on it. You're going to get all sorts of angry grams and messages and things like that until we actually get this thing revving up a little bit. We're not going to get a lot of those errors to go away. We give us just a little tiny bit, and we have a good light. Normally, keep your hand right on this lever so you don't accidentally let this kind of get away. Oh no, an update. It's all right. I'll be a little slow today. Now, this is a relatively short flight because we have such a high-performance aircraft, and I expect to see plenty of TBMs today. TBM, I originally was going to fly it in a TBM, I'm not going to lie. I decided to opt for this aircraft because I just wanted something a little different. All right, we're starting to accelerate engines. We're going to go ahead and bring this right up to full condition here. Again, in the real world, when you do that, this little needle will go and go shoot right into the red zone. You want to be very cautious with that. Okay, engine started. We can go ahead and disengage the starters. Everything is all looking good on this end. Go ahead, just a teeny tiny bit of power to kind of get those props into a safer range, and they look delightful. Excellent. Okay, we don't want to turn on prop sync. That would be kind of absurd at a point like this. I'm going to flip on the avionics master switch, and it's going to instantly cause some lag as everything starts firing up. We're starting to get all sorts of angry messages here. I'm actually going to disengage the automatic ignition. We just don't need it right now. I will, of course, turn on... that kills me. You should be able to turn those on. That's not safe. Turn those on to get the last bit of my error messages out of the way, and then we'll go ahead and start setting up our MCP. Now, unfortunately, there is no version of this aircraft with an auto throttle, which it kind of bums me out just a little bit. That's a cancel. I don't need that. Okay, let's go ahead and flip on our modes. We've already clicked the correct CDI. I'm going to hit nav mode. Looks good. FMS has been selected. Yes, there is an FMS on a version of this aircraft, which I think is really cool. Somebody about black screens. Double check your time of day. I actually set it to the morning, so everything will be pretty good here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and recenter my map. Again, this is a G3X and not a G3000, so it's got its own kind of personality. Cruise altitude today is going to be very low for a turboprop, but I want to get a really good look of the countryside as we're cruising here. So we're only going to do about 6,000 feet. All right, confirm that looks good. Confirm that I'm in the correct mode here. I'm going to go ahead and flip on my flight director, which is good to go. Everything's been set there. Next thing you know, I'm going to go ahead and select my climb mode. Aw, please, someday. I'm going to press my flick button. I'm going to go ahead and set my desired airspeed to 140 knots. That's going to be a very, very steep climb for us. But again, it's not going to be too bad once we get going. All right, with that all being done, I'm going to go ahead and look around. Normally, you'd want to get... Oh, look at these two guys that are so serious. So is this Cross Joe or X Joe? I'm not sure which one that is, but that's okay. Looks like we have some folks on that. And there's already somebody blocking me. Typical. Okay, so in the real world, of course, we request permission to back this aircraft up. And on the other, not real world method we could use, we could actually put the aircraft in reverse and do one of these kind of things to go ahead and back the aircraft up instead. The reason, obviously, we're not going to opt for that particular option is it's kind of dangerous, but I'm doing it anyway. I really feel like this thing should be making beep beep noises as I do this. All right. Go ahead and shut off the reverser. The engine's going to get very grumpy at me when you do that. Generally, you can have all sorts of issues. You can overheat the thing. As you can see, I'm having an ITT warning, and we go ahead and cool the aircraft back off. Success. Make sure my autopilot did not flip itself on. I swear that it turned itself on a second ago. Told you. Now, of course, my pitch trim's probably doo-doo. All right, let's get going. So we're going to need ourselves one notch of flaps to get this thing airborne. One of the things with this version is this is the big, super long version of this aircraft, so it is a little bit slower. Excuse me, sir. My signal is on. Actually, I can turn on my signal. Where's my little signals? My recog light is my signal. There we go. I can kind of let people are. Oh, okay, got it. Got it. All right, swing us around. And we're going to get going. See who else is joining us today. I'm probably pronounced that like doo-doo. Will Sue. I wonder if that means you're going to sue. Oh, I love this. Peeky, peeky, peeku. I'm not going to guess what you're going for with that particular name, but I'll accept it whatever it comes out to be. Let's see. We have a John Mielstrup, and we have a Dieforsten John. I wonder if there's a relationship between those two Johns. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the deal with that is. Remember, we just had a new update, and that might be impacting some of the things going on here. But again, we'll find out what happens when we actually do get airborne here. I'm going to go ahead and kind of watch out for these folks. In the real world, of course, we wouldn't want to be just kind of zipping by them like this. But I assume the reason they're there is they want to come fly with us. All right, I'm going to go ahead and flash this guy. I hit him with my handy-dandy little strobe light here. Whoop, 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 whoop. Pull over. Oh, okay, whatever. It's all good. All right, just come up on his wingtip. We'll do ourselves a classic formation takeoff here if you would like to do something like that. And go ahead and bring us to a full stop here. Alrighty, let's make sure everything is looking good. Now, for some reason, this red light is on. That's a little weird because we're touching the ground, so it shouldn't be doing that this time. Okay, so now on modern aircraft, you can just jam on it and go. Unfortunately, we still have to deal with the fact we can over-torque this engine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the brakes all the way down. Again, I have a hand brake as opposed to a feet brake. It's the greatest thing ever once you get used to it. Go ahead and give myself a little bit of thrust here. Zoom in. Again, I'm going for about 100% torque. It's too much. Too much. Looks like the sweet spot right there. Release the parking brake, and our flight has begun. Now, the reason I chose this flight today is I wanted to do something a little bit different. You know, we've done a lot of flying in South America. We've done a good amount of flying, especially in the Western Hemisphere. I want to spend more time in the Eastern Hemisphere if I could. All right, I'm just going to keep on rolling here. Rotate speed is going to be right around 91, 92 knots, I think is the magical speed. I can feel the trim fighting me a little bit, but that's because that autopilot was giving us a little bit of trouble earlier. My own mistake, I'm sure. All right, and up we go. I'm going to go ahead and bring up... I've been passed already. Hey, my strobe light was on, buddy. Now, if I want to beat him at this race, I just have to nose down rather than try to climb with him, because then if I build up speed quicker than him, I can get the flaps up quicker, and then I can actually go ahead and pass him. Okay, let's go ahead and get this flight going. Now, I don't know about anybody else. Good morning. But for some reason, after this recent set of patches, I swear the aircraft has a stronger torque effect. And this goes for almost every single one of the different aircraft that I've been operating. There's a TBM. You might be able to beat me in this, but you won't be able to beat me in top speed for sure. All right, going to go ahead and continue climbing here. I'm not going to do anything with air traffic control. One of these days, we're going to have to do a thing where we all do VAT sim simultaneously. Could you imagine how crazy the poor VAT sim controllers are going to be if we do something like that? Oh, that'd be so mean. We should do it, though. All right, so welcome to Hainan. This is basically one of the Chinese mega port cities. There's a tremendous amount of business that comes through here at any given moment. And you can see just how dense everything is here. All right, swing us a little bit closer. Now we're doing about 179 knots, which is much faster than I wanted to, but again, we're not going that high today. Yeah, so the reason I chose this plane today is I wanted something I wanted a turboprop, but I didn't want a TBM. So it was either the 208, which is an awesome plane, or it was going to be this one, and I definitely went for this one. I'm hoping, what is a hoping? Is that like a hoping? I'm hoping pretty soon that we're going to get something that's going to be like this, like a 1900, or even like an ATR, or, if you really want to go too far, like a Q400 that we could have flown this flight as well. Because it would basically be perfect for it. If you're wondering, by the way, the aircraft spiked up like that, so if you remember a while ago, I set my climb speed to 140. In order to get to 140, it's a pretty steep climb. That wasn't safe. All right, I've got enough altitude underneath me. I think it's time to go ahead and flip on my yaw damper. I'm going to pop that button. And now we are on. Oh my gosh, look at that. So I don't know anything about social media, as you could probably imagine, but I have the feeling there might be something involved with that, with what's going on right here. So I'm going to go ahead and get myself up to my cruise altitude here, level ourselves off. I'm not going to be tour guide here because I really don't know this part of China nearly as well as some other parts. But again, we're just trying to do something nice and relaxing today. Going to level us off. Again, we're going about to 6,000 feet today. I think it was funny. I think on our last live stream, somebody was commenting on the fact that I was like, could you not use the radio announcer voice? Hopefully I'm not putting that person on the spot today, but I'm going to do the best I can to be a little bit more serious. One of the things is my day job is basically teaching teenagers, about technology and computers and stuff like that. So you have to be engaging, but it's just me. All right, let's enjoy the city. Now, you want to talk about a high population. This would be almost like your San Francisco or Los Angeles. Now, when we actually get over to Beijing, oh my God, what a city, as you'll see in a bit. Now, the incredible part of this bit of China is basically this is your bread basket. Where in the United States, you kind of have the middle is the bread basket. This is where all the food is. So as much as you want these cities and population to work all your ports, you need something where you can grow everything. And there's a significant amount of that, especially to the east here. I'm going to go ahead and slow down a teeny tiny little bit here. Go ahead and check my modes. Everything looks good. Altitude holds good. We're going to go ahead and reduce our power a little bit here. We're going a little bit too fast, and I know the folks behind us are not going to like that too much. All right, we're going to get going about, what do you think about 235? Should be plenty. All right, looking pretty good now. Start slowing down just a teeny tiny bit. Oh, by the way, hopefully my video quality is a little better than last time. Somebody gave me a tip to change the bit rate. It's one of those things that me being a complete noob at this, didn't realize it was like 2 buttons to go ahead and change. So hopefully things are going a little bit better as far as that goes, visual quality-wise. Actually, we're doing okay so far. I can see just about everybody who took off with me. I'm amazed the TBM can keep up with this. But again, I'm trying not to race too much here. Back to power up just a teeny tiny bit. I don't need to be going that fast. In case anybody's curious, there is a prop control on this aircraft. I can actually reduce the RPM. In the real world, with modern technology, basically all you're doing is reducing noise. You're not really improving performance or anything like that. Wear and tear comes from heat more than anything on a turboprop. All right, looking pretty good so far. So what we're going to be doing in this flight is, like I said, we're going to be traveling basically west, and then we're going to take a pretty aggressive right turn to come into Beijing. We're going to do a nice little tour of the city, and then we're going to do a group ILS landing, which I think should be a little bit exciting here. I'll go ahead and zoom out so you can kind of take a look at it. Looks a little bit like this. You're probably wondering why this looks so crazy, but when we set this flight up originally, I love the fact you can click and drag. One of the problems we had was up in this particular region. I've zoomed in the wrong way. One of the problems we had was in this region, if you want to do a straight-in approach that we have like this, you basically are limited to 3 or 4 individual arrival procedures, including this one, which has this incredibly bizarre kind of left turn here. Probably what will happen is we'll get to this point, abort, go take a look at the city itself, and then come back and actually fly the actual landing. So that should be pretty good, pretty good. Okay, so we're going to just kind of continue along here. We're making pretty good speed. Let's see how everybody else is doing. Very nice formation work there, Ronald 1302. Is it me, or is the hardest thing to do in an airplane air refueling? I mean, carrier landings, you kind of get good at, like no problem. Regular landings, no problem. I lost an engine, no problem. Trying to refuel something in midair, especially without like VR or track IR, oh, that's a nightmare. Okay, we're looking pretty good. Now we're going to go absorb some of the land here. Now, one of the things I love about places like this is you basically have some kind of natural landmark like that. And as soon... Apparently, there's a pyramid in China also. But of course, you have these natural little landmarks. It's actually a canal. It's pretty cool. And then all of a sudden, you turn your head and whoop, it's completely flat, and it's nothing but, you have some kind of agricultural piece or something like this. If you're traveling, like in places like Canada especially, once you get outside of Toronto, it gets kind of flat. Folks who live over in Australia as well, I remember leaving Melbourne, and I just remember going over a little hill, and all of a sudden, it was just boop, nothing. It was the most wild experience the first time I see it. But you can see just the incredible level of agriculture, as well as these little cities that kind of maintain this incredible industry here. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and bring us around. Everything's looking pretty good on my flight. Again, my flight plan's a little convoluted here, so I'm probably going to tweak it a little bit. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. There we go, perfect. Yeah, definitely. X-Plane was definitely my original, and I hate to say it, until we get some really hardcore payware, anything airliner-wise, it's going to be tough to stay with Flight Sim. We do have VR over in Flight Sim 2020, and it's actually a little bit smoother than what I remember from X-Plane, so I will be still playing around with them. Really, I'm going to play with all of them. Okay, let's go ahead and have a little bit of fun here. So one of the issues I always have with this particular interface is where do we go to get the buttons that allow us to do the things? So one of the nice things is... we have all this good stuff like the ability to split our screen like this. If you split it, you can go over to FPL mode, which is your flight plan. You can actually click flight plan, and you can actually dial things out. Yeah, that's actually kind of funny. All right, let's go ahead and adjust my flight plan a teeny tiny bit here. I love this, that I can just kind of be just cruising along and just not caring too much. Like I can click here, I can go ahead and say activate leg to waypoint. And what that does now is it's going to activate the waypoint, the actual leg that connects these two pieces directly. Now, if I wanted to, I could mash the direct to button here, and this would take me direct to Delta 19 or 2. As a matter of fact, I'm actually going to push that button real quick. And now I'm just going to edited my white flight plan that simply. That's awesome. Man, I love that. Okay, let's go ahead and go back to full mode and go ahead and make that all go away because we don't need to look at it. Boop, and it's gone. Delightful. All right, let's look behind me. How are we doing? I guess I'm going slow because everybody seems to be catching up to me today. Hopefully nobody took like an A350 or something. We don't have one of those yet. An A320, because you're going to be going a little slow for that one. All right, let's take a look at the window. I'm just trying to get my bearings here. Yep, you can see automatically the aircraft is now proceeding direct to the next waypoint. It's just a really, really, really slick trick. Now, again, going back to geography, I'm not going to play too much tour guide. These are the mountains. Now, it's just tremendous, because anybody who's ever flown around Tehran, which is, again, in northern Iran, you probably know all about this kind of phenomenon. The only difference is, instead of all this green, you basically have a giant desert, and whoop, then you've got these really, really tall mountains. Usually we end this, I think today what we're going to do is we're going to have a little bit of fun in Beijing, and then we're going to land, and then we're probably going to end it or something along those. Multiple flights. Well, I mean, if you have an encore location you're interested in BP, we could probably check that out. I mean, at some point I'm going to have lunch or something today, but again, I have some availability if there's something you're really looking forward to. Just kind of let me know. All right, let's take a look behind us. Everything's looking pretty good so far. Awesome. I love it. Absolutely love it. You guys make this so much more exciting than it needs to be. Let's go ahead and scroll down right here real quick. Let's go ahead and take a look at our other options. Stick my head down a little bit here. So in the real plane, when we have this issue, we just grab the little lever here and we pull back on it. It goes click, 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 and all of a sudden you're looking at the ceiling. But we don't have that issue in Flight Simulator, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. All right, just going to kind of proceed downwards just a little bit. Just confirming that that looks the way it does. Good, excellent. Now let's go ahead and take a look at my fuel system. Now the fuel system, by the way, in the Beech 350 is not as complicated as it looks. Basically, you have the main tanks, which are going to be these, and then you have auxiliary tanks, which are sitting right here. If you want to look at which fuel has what, you can just click this little switch here. So people will definitely panic here when they look at, 200 pounds. Don't worry about it, you're fine, you got plenty. What you're actually doing is you're sucking fuel out of this tank and putting it into this tank. If you really, really, really want to get, no, you still have time, Pitar. If you wanted me to set Zulu, Bravo, Alpha, Alpha, and start calling to us, you'll see us right when we start doing our little Beijing bit. But like I was saying, the system actually sucks fuel out of the auxiliary into the main system, so don't panic about that. That's why there's 30 little clicks here, so that you can manually force that fuel around if you needed it to do. Let's see here. Well, let's see what other people asked here. Didn't get the notification. Everyone disappeared. Figure out how the sensitivity adjustments... I'm not sure, but I did notice recently that for whatever reason, when I do my pitch trim, my aileron trim, it's extremely fast now. That's not something that I'm used to, so to speak. Anyway, we need to start thinking about descending. Believe it or not, now we're in a really, really good spot right now. Again, one of these days we're going to have to fly through here with some bush planes. But again, if we're going to do that, we're probably going to head this direction, kind of further down those mountains there. Now, if you really want to see empty, check out the desert. Okay, one thing I want to point out real fast is if anybody's looking for something educational, which I don't know, I can't help myself, sorry. Because I activated the leg mode, you notice I didn't fly directly to the waypoint. I flew to the leg of the waypoint and then started pulling itself out. Yes, Maxime just pointed out the fact that you have the ability to actually join me in flight. If you have all players turned on, you can actually left click on me and set as departure and literally pick up right where I left off. All right, let's see how we're doing behind us today. My TBMs are having no difficulty keeping up, which is what I said. We'll see how we do when we get to the Forbidden City here. And then, of course, we'll kind of proceed from there. All right, so once we hit this point, we're going to start our descent process. And we're actually going to start taking ourselves all the way down onto the ground here. So one thing I'd like to do real quick, I'm going to try not to accidentally close my streaming window there. I'm going to actually go confirm the ZBAA ILS frequency. 36 right, 36 left. I just want to confirm that I have it correct. Because the last thing in the universe I want to do is find out I got the wrong number. Because, you know, that's just embarrassing. It's something I've done 100 times. Let's see here. Frequency. ILS, parking. I don't need parking. Aerodrome information. SID star ILS for 36 left. That's the one. And okay, that doesn't help me at all. We'll be fine. We'll approach it, no issues. All right, let's start our descent. Go ahead and reduce this just a teeny tiny bit. We're going to come down to 3,000 feet. Switch to flight level change mode. There it is. Go ahead and pull the throttle back about 30%. That should be plenty. And down we go. Since we're going to be landing shortly, I'm going to go ahead and flip on my landing lights just to let everybody on the ground know that I'm coming at you. I'm going to shut off my recog light. I don't need to be flashing at anybody. I'm not trying to pass them. All right, down we go. Gotcha. Excellent. All right, let's go ahead and bring ourselves down. We don't need this. I'll put that one away. Go away. Nobody likes you. You can see we're maintaining roughly the same speed. I didn't have to throw the throttle back that far. Again, we're going to be taking a fancy little approach here when we're coming in. Go to split mode. I'm going to go bring up my flight plan one more time. Oop, I did it again. Map. Proc. That's the button I wanted, really. And I missed it. Procedures. Approach. Activate approach. And now we've gone ahead and locked in our approach, and we're now ready to fly this extremely bizarre little circle that we need to go ahead and use. Now, the interesting thing here is if I actually flipped out of that mode, let me go back to map mode, go to map, go ahead and close it out. Let's go ahead and grab myself, I'm actually going to do heading hold real quick. And I'm going to go ahead and disengage this to VOR1. Now, unfortunately, it did actually get the correct frequency that we need to land this plane. The bad news is we're not in range of actually detecting it. But, like I said, I'm going to go actually check out the city itself. Okay, so Beijing, very, 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 very populous city. Again, you don't need me to tell you that. You can tell exactly just by looking at it. All right, that looks pretty good. We're going to need that frequency when we get a little bit closer. Stick my head up. The way the city works, basically, is you have these kind of little outskirts. You have this amazing major highway that goes to the middle of it, and then you have the main city itself. Today, we're going to have a little bit of fun and actually take a look at some of the sights to see in the city itself. So what I'm going to do in just a minute is I'm going to start bringing myself to the left a little bit. We're going to stop by the Forbidden City, go through downtown, pop by one of the very, very heavily defended military airports, and kind of make our way back. Should be kind of fun. All right, let's do it. All right, hopefully my calculations are correct. We're not working on a GPS anymore here. You know what this is. All right, coming around nicely. Everybody's having no difficulty keeping up with me now. Of course, I'm a little bit lower. And that's exactly what I was looking for. Let's see how good my calculations were this morning. Oh my gosh, look at that. I was off by like, what, a degree? Downtown? Forbidden City? the good old-fashioned stadium, the Olympic Stadium on that side. So I'm actually going to lose myself even more altitude because I want to appreciate some of this stuff. Down to 1,000 feet, which is completely forbidden. I'd probably get an S-300 launched at me for something like this. But of course, you would never want to shoot down an airplane when you're this low because, you know, population. Ah, excellent. I got to see what the new DCS update is. I was reading they're going to be doing the Apache, which I haven't played the Apache since Jane's Apache, like way, way back in the 90s, if you want to kind of think about how far back I go. But those were some pretty fun times. I did enjoy that. Of course, since it's going to be multi-crew, imagine what that's like. Speaking of multi-crew, I was reading the other day that you can actually do more than one person in the same plane in Flight Simulator, this Flight Simulator. There is a completely free application out there that'll give you the ability to do it. It'll actually synchronize all the controls and all the buttons and the location and everything, and basically use the developer mode in order to actually have two people in the same aircraft at the same time. Now, that's something I've yet to try, but I could imagine doing a live stream and actually having somebody in the right seat who could grab the wheel for me. Again, not that I need somebody to grab the wheel because of autopilot, but it would still be absolutely wild. So that's definitely something I'm thinking about. I'm just kind of throwing that out at everybody as kind of a possibility. I don't remember what the application itself is called, but it's like if you do like multi-crew FS2020, you're going to find exactly what you're looking for. Ekta asked if they can play MS Flight Simulator on a 2020 on an i3 laptop. It's going to depend on how fast that particular i3 is. I don't know that i3, but I guarantee you it probably can't do it well. This computer it's an i9 10850K. I have a 3080 video card, and this is about as smooth as it gets. It can get a little smoother if I turn everything down. I can't imagine playing this like in 4K. I think it would literally just melt things. Yeah, so I'm thinking about it. I'll have to borrow somebody from the crowd, and they could be my number 2, or actually number 1. There are number 2s on a plane. This isn't a ship. All right, let's take a look at the city. Beat our volunteers. It's definitely something I'm going to check out. I'll point that out in my community pages as well. Okay, let's play tour guide. Okay, I said I wouldn't tour guide, but we're going to play tour guide. Too bad. So some of those folks who are kind of recognizing these buildings that are starting to appear here, this is literally downtown Beijing. When you talk about population density, oh my. Some people will probably comment that the visibility is great today. Yeah, it is. But I'm not going to comment as to why or why. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to start swinging us to the left here. I'm going to back my throttle all the way back. Start slowing down a little bit. At some point, we have to do some VAT sim together, but like I'm really not in a rush to do VAT sim on account of the fact that you have to take everything so seriously. All right, we're going to come extremely low here, but again, I'm here to enjoy the sights here. Look at this. You got your little light rail coming through all this. Yeah. All right, I'll give it just a little bit. Yeah, this is ultra settings, but it's, what is it? 2K, I think, is the equivalent resolution here. I have to downsample a little bit in order to post it. Actually, I think this is low enough. I'm not going to go any lower than this. This is East USA server. There we go. Now we're in business. Now keep in mind, you wouldn't normally take a turboprop like this at nice and low altitudes, but I wanted to take a look at the Forbidden City while I was here. Alright, we'll see how everybody's doing kind of behind me. This is no longer IFR, this is completely VFR. I'm not sure what Pilot 2 ATC is. I might have to check out what that is. One thing I did see is just the multi-crew program, which gives you the ability to actually basically give voice commands, and it does things inside the airplane. I tried that ages ago in FSX, and it was an okay experience. All right, let's slow down and take a look at the Forbidden City. By the way, don't miss this on the left. That's awesome. All right, let's take a look. Can you tell me a little bit about what Pilot 2 ACC is? Bring the nose up, switch to my heads-up view. Hopefully the folks behind me don't mind my little maneuvering here. And there is the Forbidden City. Keeping at my airspeed, I don't want to stall this thing out. This is a really, 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 really aerodynamic plane. I'm super impressed with it. Alright, I just like to take a little look. I'm getting a little bit of turbulence, but that doesn't surprise me. Look at... Okay, Will Sue, that's a little... now, we're being terribly low here. I just wanted to see it. You know, I mean, we took so much effort to come all the way out here, so we might as well absorb some of the sights here. Look at that. Imagine just what that looks like from. That's where everybody takes the picture, by the way, in Google. Right there, right where I'm staring at, next to my right wing. We'll kind of zip around here, kind of absorb the moat and everything like that. And we're going to go ahead and take a nice trip downtown and go take a look at the Olympic Stadium, too, while we're down here. And then we'll come in for our nice, boring ILS approach. You know how it goes. Oh, I'm feeling the burn. But again, look at our altitude and look at how much density there is. Man, do I love the density. Bring my nose up just a teeny tiny bit. I'm still doing 200 knots. My throttle's at like 25%. All right, we're going to absorb some more. Imagine how crowded this road would be with traffic in the real world. You can see it's got a little bit on there, but I guarantee you it's a little more intense. It's like a Champs-Élysées, but it's, again, downtown Beijing. Oh, that's cool. A Top Cat. I'm definitely going to have to check that out. I don't mind the air traffic control in game. I mean, it's not super, but again, it's better than nothing kind of a thing. And again, it's not as intimidating as the good folks over at VATSIM, which again, we'll have to do some videos on at some point. You got to check this structure out if you haven't had a chance to see it. This is really wild. So this is basically, again, where they had all the Olympic Games. You can see all the different little sports stadiums and everything like that. You got that little place for the racing, but the coolest sight of all this one is this one right here on my left. That's just like the level of detail that the board program, they should say the modeler, had to do in order to make all that is really, really impressive. I just think that's really, really cool. Okay, all right, I stopped playing tour guide. I'm sorry. Go ahead and put the throttle back in. Well, let's go ahead and land this thing. Oh, I just achieved a pilot program. Believe it or not, I don't have that many hours in this program. Now, most of my hours are basically putting together these videos, but when you do these things, a lot of times you crash or you end the flight, and it doesn't count unless you land. I think that's a little cheap, to be honest. All right, let's see how everybody's doing. Looks good. Okay, folks, let's go ahead and land the plane. We're going to do an ILS approach here. I'm actually going to be basically flying a downwind and then cutting back across to actually do the approach itself. All right, everybody's probably getting some good sights. Now, if you did this in the real world, I'm sure the Chinese government wouldn't be thrilled about it. Fontana, you can do Zulu Bravo, what's Bravo? Zulu Bravo Alpha Alpha if you want to kind of catch us at the end. All right, I'm going to kind of go zip up here. Like a good international airport, it's not downtown, thankfully, but there is an airport downtown, believe it or not. There's also a couple military airports, for obvious reasons. All right, I'm basically going to fly downwind here. Zoom in a little bit. Center the aircraft, and we're looking pretty good. Definitely. Good point, Dean. That's exactly right. It's pretty cool, though. It's just one of those things that when we were checking it earlier, we got a pretty good look at it as well. Yeah, no, tell me about it. Like, I look at my Steam time in this game, and it's like, 270 hours or something like that. But the actual log time, I literally just crossed 50 hours. So that should give you a little bit of thought there. All right, we'll stop by downtown real quick here. I'll jump on the other side of the plane. Ah! So I had 3 buttons to press, and I got them all wrong. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Because I always leave damage and failures and all that other good stuff on, just because it makes things interesting. Tree 6 left. Nick, to answer your question. All right, we're just going to go ahead and swing around here. We're going to line ourselves up with the ILS Feather. It's a 111.70 for anybody who's looking for the particular number there. I'll make sure I've got that set correctly. Boop, boop, boop. Go back to split mode. Looks good. Nav1 frequency. 111.70 transfer. And that should work. Hey, it worked. Beautiful. All right, let's go ahead and bring this thing in for a landing. Whoop. Okay, cool. And we're doing everybody's favorite ILS approach. So basically, I'm on the base leg. One of the things that we don't get to see because we did such a roundabout way to get into town, so to speak, is the fact you don't see how steep this ILS approach is. It literally brings you from 9,000 feet down to about 500 feet in a relatively short distance so that it can safely get you over all this population in case something comes up. All right, come swinging around here. I can see lots of folks have already beat me there, but that's okay. A little bit to the left. So I got my first achievement I got in this program was for starting the Airbus, and I didn't ever fly the Airbus. I just thought that was kind of weird. Okay, Katie's is asking an interesting question. I have a little cat, by the way. Is there a way to get the in-flight tablet PC panel like X-Plane and Flight Sim? I think there is actually a modification out there that has something that's just like that. But it's not in... I'm not sure. Again, I don't have an answer unless anybody else in the community does. All right, standard ILS approach. We're basically going to kill the power completely because, as you can see, we are more than close enough to everything. We're actually a little bit below glide slope at this point. You know, I really wish that this screen would render slower than this screen so that we can take advantage of it a little better. All right, we're crossing the ILS localizer. Give myself a little bit of left rudder here. Pull the nose up, lift the nose up just a tiny bit, and we should be fairly well lined up. It's not going to be perfect. Remember, there are 3 individual runways that face this direction. The one we're landing at is going to be the one farthest away from the terminal, unfortunately, but that's all right. All right, going to bring ourselves a little bit to the left. We are still very, very, very low. We're also still going very, very fast. Flip on my automatic pilot for a second as I get everything all sorted out. Altitude hold, we're going to go ahead and flip on the approach hold as well. And let's see what it does today. It's kind of getting it. Yeah, there it is. Delightful. One of the great things about this aircraft is we can pop the landing gear down once you get under 200 knots, so we're pretty well lined up, and everything's looking good. Now, the weird thing is the runway we're landing on here. Let me show you what this thing looks like. It's like here, and like everything else is over here. So this is kind of the spot that you want to kind of pop it down at. All right, go ahead and reduce speed a little bit. We can actually put in that second notch of flaps at any time. We don't have to leave all afternoon before we do it. Again, we are on our localizer. I had to go look up the frequency. Lucky for me, I could find it. And we're about to capture the glide slope. Go ahead and put my first notch of flaps down. Looks good. And here we go. Kill the throttle. We're still going really fast here. Go ahead and drop my next notch. Normally you wouldn't put your next notch down at 150. You put it down at like 108. The reason we put it down so soon is because we were right about to start descending there. All right, looks pretty good. And I can see somebody's waiting for me there, down there on the ground. I haven't actually looked behind me in a little while. We should probably see how those folks are doing. Everybody else is on the same ILS. That is just, I love that. Hopefully folks are landing out parallel to me, just make it interesting. All right, we're going to go over here real quick. Bring up FPL. I just want to confirm that that's what I want it to be. Looks good. Shut that off. Click here real quick. Confirm that everything here is what I want it to be. Looks good. Okay, good to go. I forgot to actually turn on the transponder. Sigh. Man, am I a bad influence. Don't follow my opinion. Okay, now we're basically on approach. Now we just got to put this thing down on the ground nice and gently. We've captured the glide slope. Our airspeed is way too high. We should be doing about 100 on the nose. That should get us down pretty good. One thing you do want to do is you want to confirm that your auto throttle, or your auto feather is armed. That button doesn't work. Don't worry about it. Yeah, Peter, in the real world, turboprops have anything with a controllable pitch propeller. If you back that throttle out, what will happen is the propellers will actually start to go to a very, very fine pitch, which will actually slow the aircraft down. They have not simulated that yet, which is actually kind of a bummer, because without that feature, you can't really slow these planes down nearly as well. That being said, if it's an emergency, you can always put it in reverse. I don't recommend that. All right, let's go ahead and get ourselves lined up. I can see 2 white, 2 red, and I can see everybody else coming in. The Woe and John. Crunchy Bob, I remember from before. Try to see what else I got here that I recognize. Coming in on the apparel. Oh, this is so cool. Nice and smooth. And whoops, I gotta watch your buttons here. Go ahead and close that. Coming in about 110. We're coming a little too fast, but that's okay. See how everybody's doing behind us. Ronald is absolutely killing it today, by the way. We got Sevum is doing a really, really good job. One of my friends actually in high school was named Sev. Interesting. I wonder if there's a relationship there. All right, 108. There's the speed we're looking for. And now we're just basically going to enjoy the flight. Notice, by the way, that we're not directly coming in. We have to actually come in at an angle because in the real world there's actually a building right here. Oh, that's super cool. Eric was just telling us that Fly-by-Wire is working on an implementation on the Airbus A320. That's so sweet. All right, give ourselves a little bit of power. Look at how off-center we are. There's no wind today, so this is completely the ILS itself, giving you an idea of how not straight in it is. I believe the actual minimums on this thing are like 370 feet. I don't have it in front of me, but it's pretty wide. I actually notice this is a common thing, that I'm way below glide slope here. But I'm more than close enough to the ground. Minimums. Actually, we haven't hit that yet. Actually, we did, but you know what I mean. There's the minimums. There we go. Pop off the automatic pilot. Look at how not straight that landing is when you do the ILS here. Okay, so reverse thrust is amazing. The reverse thrust actually reverses the direction of the propeller blade. It doesn't reverse the propeller. It reverses the actual angle of the blade. So I'm going to go ahead and swing around here. This is going to be a very sloppy landing because I came in way too fast. Should be concentrating on landing. Oh, a little bit of a crosswind here. Now for a nice PG landing here. Delightful. Going to go ahead and throw in the reverse thrust. Click. Reverse! Oh, that's noisy in the real world. Are you okay there, Dade? Oh my. So what I literally did is I pulled the propeller blades and they twisted the other way so that when I apply thrust, I'm actually going ahead and going backwards instead. Exactly like Pitar says, it changes the pitch of the blade. I'm going to go ahead and cancel it. I'm looking good. In the real world, when you reverse thrust these planes, it's like it'll snap your head backwards. Okay, let's go ahead and get everybody out of the way here. Oh, whoop, whoop, whoop. Should probably put my blinker on. Excuse me. There we are. Whoa, easy on the brakes. And go ahead and put a little bit of brakes here. I think I just parallel parked an airplane. Nice. What a flight. Look at that. I'm going to have to take a picture of that. Nicely done, everybody. Nicely done. Nicely done. Nicely done. Nicely done. This is that's pretty incredible. As always, you folks make this super duper exciting as far as do things. Yeah, I don't find the 350 bad. I remember in X-Plane, the 350, you're gonna hurt yourself in that plane. When you kill that power, it's done flying, even if you are not done flying. Okay, so as usual, I like to take a couple minutes at the end to see is there any questions anybody has on anything. Man, is that a tremendous amount of airplanes all queued up. Love it. Any questions? Okay, so that's an awesome question to demonstrate. I'm actually going to shut down my right engine. So Maxime's asking, so it changes the pitch of the blades while the prop elevator changes the pitch of the prop. So the prop and the blades is the same thing. So what I'm doing with this handle, let me go ahead and see if I can show you. That propeller is taking a lifetime to slow down. We'll go ahead and just pull that one down. I should be able to slap it into the feather range here. Is it going to actually stop it? There we go. Okay, so in the real one, this thing would have been done slot. Okay, there it goes. So if you actually take a look along these blades, there's a little tiny counterweight. There's actually a little oil pump essentially inside of it that allows this blade to change angle dynamically to keep this engine basically turning at the same speed. This blade, as you can see, is looking really, really, really flat relative to everything that's kind of coming into it right now. By changing the pitch control, you can actually change this angle. When it goes into reverse mode, instead of pointing this way where it's curving this, it'll actually curve this way. It'll actually rotate this kind of in this direction, so it actually blocks it directly. Now, if you wanted to go ahead and set this so that it was in reverse completely, if feathered, this blade would actually go completely parallel to the airflow, which even though I have it slapped into the feathering position, whoop, that was the wrong one, that was the other engine. Feather. Even though I slapped it into feather, it didn't go into feather, which is actually a bad thing. So Peter is asking, how do you reverse thrust on the joystick? So there's two ways to do this. The safest way, I'm just going to tell you real quick, is if you go under your control panel, you go over to, you can see my controls. Oh boy, what are you going to do? If you search by name, first of all, set this to all down here at the bottom. Type in reverse. You're going to see an option for hold reverse thrust, which gives you the ability to actually hang on to it for as long as you hold on to it, or toggle. I'm a toggle kind of guy. So let me show you what that looks like. I'm just going to press the enter button. Go back. Nobody likes you. So what you can see here is if I press that button, nothing happens. But if I push forward like this, do you see how the throttle goes backwards? Now, if I pull it back forward and press the toggle again, if I push it forward, the lever actually goes into the forward position, giving me the ability to go ahead and do exactly what I just showed you a minute ago. Okay, so Barry Harry asked a wonderful question. What's inside the nose of this plane? Well, this part of the nose where you can't see, there's a little line right here. This is actually basically your avionics. You also have a little teeny tiny weather radar. It's this little curved thing that literally sits here. You can't see it, but you can actually see in the cowling exactly where that particular device exists. So that's all it is. And a lot of planes, like, do we have, oh my gosh, this line got longer. For those of you, this is so absurd. I love this. I got such a good picture of this. So another aircraft, you can actually store junk in the nose. So if you actually would look at junk in the trunk, you would actually have like a little spot here for a nose storage. I see X-Joe's got the right idea. Why did this pop up on my recommended? I don't like planes. I can't answer that question, Just Professor. The algorithms over in the world of YouTube are a strange, strange thing. Okay, I'm glad you could. I hope it was clear with that, Eric. Again, he was asking about descents. Kind of doing the best I can with that. Again, these tools make it easy to do. Let's see here. So next week you've got some stuff coming on different types of airspeeds. You got something on the Robin, and you have something. What was it? Vertical speed controls on an autopilot. Were there any videos that anybody would like me to put together? We were relatively quick today. Take that as a no. Of course, by the time everything gets delayed for you, you won't probably not going to be able to hear that, but that's all right. All right, time to do some reckless damage. Yeah, I'm glad. Again, this was a little short one today, but I didn't want to take us too far. I just wanted to kind of show off another neat little thing here. All right, hold my brakes down. Go ahead and give it full throttle. Yeah, the big thing, Maxime, with turboprop engines is basically if you take a jet engine, you put a propeller on the front, you got yourself a turboprop. The only difference is instead of producing thrust with the jet, you're producing thrust with the rotation of the actual blade itself. Ooh, that's a great question. So US APR asked about how to change from VOR to GPS mode. So in this particular aircraft, oh boy, I didn't mention it correctly. To do that, I click right here with my left mouse button, and it brings up this thing that says CDI source. But when I change it, I just go ahead and press this button, and I can change it all day and all night whenever I need to do anything with it. And the other thing is if you're on a G1000, just like Matt mentioned just a second, you're going to be pressing the CDI button. Okay, let's go ahead and do a stunt show with this real quick. Hold the nose up nice and steep. Hey, look, there's an arrow to say this is a bad idea. Who knew? Go ahead and try to hit the rudder. Let's see if we can do a knife turn on this thing. Indeed we can! Right foot, right foot. Oh, we're gonna make it! Don't sink, don't sink, don't sink. Oh, we're gonna do it! Yeah, I disabled aircraft stress. I had to try it. Let's see here. Microsoft Flight Simulator add replay mode. I can't speak to the future of Microsoft Flight Simulator. The only thing I do know is we're not going to see helicopters for another year, which is really, really depressing. Thanks, Barry. I'm glad that you're enjoying it. I have like 1 million subscribers, no viewers. It's pretty fun. Let's see. Perry's asking about Ndb Interception. That could be kind of interesting. The non-directional beacon in this particular aircraft is actually a little tricky because you're not going to get it directly. If you really want to do Ndb, you're going to have to click here. Click here, press the bearing thing, and you're actually going to have to send it to whatever you want to do. In this case, you're going to be setting it to ADF. But in this case, notice I have no data from the ADF because I have no nearby NDBs that I actually can use for this purpose. So you kind of got to watch out for that as well. Let's see here. We just found out there may be a mod. Oh, that's awesome. Love it. Okay, CDI is GPS in the Garmin 1000. Yeah, press CDI and you'll be all set. Replay mode, I can't speak to that. Ndb Interception, I got a whole video on that. This aircraft is not the best choice for that. Again, we'd have to do something, like I said, showing off that stuff there. Then we'd have to go up to split. Oop. We'd have to come over here, we have to go over here, and we'd have to go ahead and change our radio frequencies to actually let it get to the Ndb. I know. And remember, if you crash, though, it doesn't count as a flight, so we got to kind of keep that in mind. Now, it's always fun. Oh, can we split us in this? Oh, this is going to end terribly. Okay, well, if there's no other questions, keep an eye on my community page on YouTube. I'm going to have a pretty important question to be asking pretty soon. No, we don't crash into buildings. Oh. Close. So Pilot B is asking where to get the livery pack or livery. Again, I have no idea. Nobody's ever said that word to me in the real world, so I've always been guessing. Look at all this shaking. So you can go into Google and type in FS2020 Livery Pack, Mega Pack, and it's going to give you a Discord link. On the Discord link, you can actually go ahead and navigate directly to exactly which pack you want. Like, you don't have to buy, because the big one, not buy, you don't have to get the big one because it's like 40 gigabytes. It's crazy. That's the one. Thanks, Eric. Okay, replay ad is on beta. Oh, thanks, Peter. He's actually confirmed that for us pretty accurately. I'm not going to let you guys enjoy that little bit, but that's okay. All right, folks. Hopefully, you all had a nice flight today. I think in the future, I think we need to do more bush flying. I think that's kind of like the most fun, difficult stuff. But you never know. Flight Simulator might come out with something that's awesome, and we're going to have to do some stunt shows. Other than that, have a great afternoon or morning for those folks who are on my side of things, of course. Our next live show is going to be about 2 weeks. Like I said, I'm thinking about bush flying. I'm also thinking a little bit about doing doing something, you know, like in the middle of the Middle East, like a combat mission, and we all fly like 10 feet off the ground or something like that. I'll decide when to get there. Keep an eye on the community page, and exactly. I've got no fuel. I can't crash, right? Okay, have a wonderful afternoon, wonderful morning, everybody, and we'll see you all in a couple weeks. And if you're watching my regular videos, you'll see me next week. Enjoy.